All right, guys, I'm back. Um, One of the members called SpaceX, and I just got the alert. It just tested the IPO day high. So let's see if it holds here. SPX is moving lower here, back down to 75. I'm holding the partial. I'm holding because it's free, as I said earlier. But definitely not a good look here, rejecting 7,500. You guys can hear me, right, guys? Want to ensure that the audio is fine. JM, did you say something there?
Yep, I'm here. I can
Okay.
hear you.
Yeah. 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 Okay. I saw the light. I didn't hear anything, so I'm like, something's up.
Yep. And we're live on X now also for SPX and Gamma.
Awesome. Awesome. Welcome, everybody.
So OPEX day, not the greatest price action, but we do have some good data from options depth that does give us some information. So we'll go over just the general landscape that we've got today, some of the most important pivots. Obviously, very, very choppy. So, really just have to kind of zoom out, focus on the biggest pivots today. Very typical OPEX action. And this 74.75 has been the magnet. And you can see that we tried to get a move away from it, rejected 7,500, and are now coming back into 74.75. So it held every test in the morning. We'll see if it can hold up again. There is still a very large negative gamma node there at 74.75. So we'll see if that's able to hold. But just going to go ahead and start with just kind of the overall landscape for the day. We are in the overall environment for the day is a negative gamma environment, which you can see on OPEX where it's choppy, but it's volatile chop, where price is able to move. We have 15-point candles, and it is choppy, but you're able to see a little bit larger moves inside a larger range. And so we are in negative gamma, which can be a little bit quicker, faster moves. When we get them. So that's definitely adding to some of the price action. Being in negative gamma on OPEX is a little bit more of an interesting environment. But on the plus side, you can get 10, 15-point candles, as opposed to positive gamma, which would be even slower, grindier actions and much smaller candles. So overall, it's a little bit better trading environment. So we're in negative gamma. We do have a little bit of a tailwind from the charm on the day, as long as we're above 74.60 or so, which you can see here on the right side of my screen. Everything in the blue area on the right side of the screen, above that black line around 74.60, does mean that over the passage of time into the close, dealers are passive buyers, which can give a little bit of a boost to the upside, but it's just one factor. So just because we're in supportive charm does not mean that we will only go up. And especially, it's fairly light earlier in the day and not a huge factor. It'll get stronger and stronger as we get into the close. But that's the overall environment. Negative gamma, supportive charm. And then in the middle of my screen, you can see the main nodes that are 0 DTE positions that are forming gamma at individual strikes on SPX. And the main thing you want to do, especially on OPEX, is focus only on the largest nodes. And it is fairly crowded today. We are seeing some increase in some of these nodes. So the main ones you can see today, these red bars on the left, those are short dealer gamma nodes. And 7450, the pivot, 7475, and 7500. So this is showing us that due to this is data from options depth that shows us the positioning based on 0 DTE positions at that strike. is creating very large gamma nodes there, which can be used to trade against. So we've seen 75, 74, 75 hold as support all morning. We're back testing that area again. So, trapping below that, every trap below that was bought and then pushed higher in the morning. We're seeing the same thing right now. Yet another 74.75 hold. So typically you can be long against 74.75 or especially on traps below it, as you're seeing right now. Holding 74.75, that's been the primary pivot so far. 74.50 is below us. So if we were to fail 74.70 or so and finally move lower, I would watch that 74.50 area for a bounce. So that short node can be reflective. If we were to sell into 74.50, that's a decent spot for a bounce that could be traded on the long side. Buying 74.50 and then playing the bounce off of that. So that's the main things we're watching right now. Whether or not 74.75 holds, and then 7,500 is the big resistance. We rejected it. We were unable to hold above on the open. We moved back into it and then rejected in the middle of the morning and sold in 74.75. So that's kind of where we're at, trying to bounce off 74.75 yet again. And on OPEX, we do tend to see that these nodes like this can play over and over again. It held, 5 or 6 times in the morning. It's holding again so far right now, already getting, almost a 10-point bounce off of 75.
Fantastic.
Yeah, can be tougher for trading SPX options, especially zero DTE options. The premium can kind of get crushed on some of this OPEX chop, but you can also utilize futures. Sometimes easier to trade futures long ES off of that node can get you 10 points without any premium or decay.
Yeah, good warning. Let me just get something in order here. Who's driving the charts and stuff?
I've got the options depth heat map.
Okay. So is that the only thing we're sharing? Like, are we
Mm-hmm.
talking about names or are we not?
I'm primarily focused on SPX, but if you need to call out any individual names, that's fine. Nobody would
All right.
be opposed to some individual names.
Yeah, I mean, let's just talk about some of the names that have kind of stood out today. I think Marvel has been a really good name. I'll try to be as descriptive as possible without looking at the chart because we're showing the SPX. But Marvel was a really nice inside day breakout out of that 307, 308, which targeted new all-time high. So we just put in a new all-time high today. Uh, watch 320 to hold 320, 321. That first back test into it a bit ago was actually fantastic. It's a kind of secondary entry for a move towards those all-time highs. So the second time along, I'm a little bit less excited about buying that dip. But yeah, if it could hold this 320, 321, could be a nice one to watch. Otherwise, you just have to wait and see what it does around that 317, which is I would say bigger pivot. So with the market pulling back here, we have to be a little cautious buying the dip. But Marvel stood out to me very, very much today. And then MUSNDK coming into today, as we all have talked about, guys. There was some news regarding Apple coming out, increasing the prices of the devices by 20% to compensate for the memory shortage. So, when you have a big company like Apple doing that, it just tells you that it's not something short-lived. It's something that's likely, um, it's likely lasting longer than maybe people anticipate, maybe as much as they anticipate, which I think I've seen some numbers thrown around 2027, 2028 more. So I would say that if a big company like Apple comes out and does that, I'm sure they've tried to kind of prolong that as much as they can, but at some point they had to do it. So it just tells me that it's pretty serious. And so, the memory play has been pretty strong today. SNDK trading near all-time highs. Just put in a new all-time high, actually trading above that. And so, $2,200 stock SNDK. SNDK was trading, much lower not too long ago. August of last year, $50. So just a monster move higher just tells you that, you know, this is, you know, part of that AI play. It's very essential to the AI play, and it doesn't look like it's slowing down anytime soon. MU was one that we were watching as well. We were watching the all-time high break. We were watching 1100, and so that saw a huge move to the upside. Um, and then I was watching INC very closely today, and we were watching that 132, 133 zone. It was a very strong move off the open, set new all-time highs. Those 135s moved really nicely, and then it just collapsed. Right, just didn't find any buyers at those prices. But we have since put in a nice little recovery here, and so we're in a range here. We're back towards those, that kind of PM range, the morning PM range, around 130, 133. We attempted to break above that 133 just a few minutes ago and failed. So for today, what I would watch is 130 hold, 133 break for a push towards those highs. So that's INC. So, and some of the focus names that we've had today has been on semiconductors and alike because of the strength in SMH due to the INC headline. Uh, it was a headline that Apple and INC going to work together. So you saw that move to the upside in INC, and SMH as a whole is currently up for almost 5%. So it shows strong strength, relative strength to the overall market. That's doing very, very little. So, as long as we're seeing strength in semiconductors, I think fairly constructive. I think it's normal to see price action like we are seeing here in S&P. Um, not only the day after FOMC, but also OPEX. So, you know, my take on SPX is, um, you know, I do look at gamma. I think the data that we have coming out of option depth is very valuable. It's something that is or has become core to how we trade S&P. But if I would just kind of not look at gamma here, just for everybody that's technical, maybe non-gamma traders, what we're doing here is that we're trading up and down around this 20-day moving average. So you don't see that here on the chart, but the 20-day moving average sitting at 74.85. And so 74.85 has been, a pretty good pivot today to the upside and downside. Now we know there is gamma below, but we're not going to talk about that. What we're going to talk about is, at, the orb range, the first 30-minute range. You do have the high day at 75.10, and then you have the low day at 74. Let's just say 68.70. So, looking at that, we're trading in a range bound day. There's no real edge to the upside or downside. Now we move below low day, we could see that potential trend day down day into that gap, which could get filled, and that fill would happen if we trade towards that 74.20. And so we just tested the bottom of that range, the orb range, and we are starting to push towards the 20-day moving average right here at 74.84, 85. A break above that, we could rotate back up towards that 7,500. So typical range bound price action, break above high day 7,500. 7,500, 7,510, 15. Get that towards the end of the day, I think we see some sort of squeeze into the close. Not saying it's going to happen, but these are the levels that I am watching, which are lining up, I think, with the gamma profile that we are also looking at here on the chart. So, unfortunately, currently I don't see any trades in S&P. I did scalp S&P earlier off that 75 and rolled into. I am holding some longs, but those are with profit. I actually took a couple of targets with it. But yeah, I think more likely than not, we will just continue doing what we've been doing here ever since the open. And then, unless we see a headline or, we start breaking to the upside above 7,500 or so, it's just not a whole lot to do here. Um, so how do we know that potentially we can break lower or higher, right? I think keep an eye on semiconductors today. The reason for that is that it was the leading indicator going into today, and it's just seen gains ever since. So if you start seeing weakness in that, um, it could. So I'm just looking elsewhere here for a second. If SMH starts giving you back profits, I'll be a little bit less excited to the upside. But for now, there has not been any technical kind of breaks in the system here, right? We're just kind of doing what we're likely to do here into the end of the day. If I could just talk about the VIX for a second, just crushed today about 8% down here ever since yesterday. Yesterday's peak VIX high was around 18, 19 almost. So we're down quite considerably since then. So VIX is kind of nothing to say there. It is pushing lower here. S&P is pushing higher. That's a real nice example of what JM just said. We held 75 and we're bouncing off of that. Now, if you can recover 500 above, we could see a potential push higher. So, even though we did not trade that bounce at 75, JM just illustrated how through gamma and through some of the technicals that we just mentioned earlier, you could trade it. So range bound, you could play the two extremes, up and down, or yeah. And so yeah, we'll watch here. We'll stay patient. Um, I'd see is interesting to me because if you could break above 133, this one could magnet towards the highs. So just keep an eye on this. A bit of a sneaky play. It's putting in a bit of a higher low here. So um,
Hey, Space Mike, if you want to grab charts, feel free at any point.
grab charts. What does that mean?
You can,
Like
if you
J Money
ever,
will release the
if you want to take
sharing
the
and you
screen
can
share,
grab
just
it.
let me know.
Oh, so it's through Discord I do that?
Yeah, through Discord.
All right. Fuck yeah, let's do
J
it.
Money, get out of here. Just kidding.
I just cursed. Oh my goodness, what is going on? That never happens.
You've never sworn in your life.
Let's see if you can see what I see. Can you see my screen or not?
Yep,
Yes,
we
sir.
got it.
We're good.
But yeah, it's
Feel
pretty
free to go
nice.
through any
It's an
names or your top favorites again. I know you just did it, but yeah, you got your top
Yeah, no, that's
favorites.
fine.
You
I've
can
I've
change it.
plenty of other beautiful names for you, John. Yeah, had I known I could do that, I would have done that while talking. But so Marvel, as you can see, is holding that 321. If you go on the daily, you can see that's a daily pivot, which we tested once. Here's your 10-minute. The I was live. Me and John were calling this out. This where was it? I think this 321 area here bounced, and it was a real nice push towards highs right here. Bounced at highs. So keep an eye on that. That is a pivot until it's not. SNDK sitting in a bullish pennant here. So just doing very low. It's just kind of consolidating. So there are no real sellers here. So for me right now, it's not a trade unless maybe we break this pennant and then rip back up higher. If we get back into this triangle here, uh, could be a nice little liquidity graph for higher towards that 2200, which is probably a magnet here. So that's what I'm watching. SNDK. I kind of briefly mentioned INC. It's doing exactly what it needs to. I think this could chop here into the latter parts of the day, but I think a push here could potentially push it towards those highs again. So keep an eye on SNDK. I think it's a bit of a sneaky play. It kind of cleared out some of the sentiment that we had going into the day here. And so, yeah, nice hold where it needed to. See, yeah, SPX pushing higher here. Uh, we are this monkey bot. We're seeing a little bit of an expansionary candle to the upside here, so they're trying to break through this and push higher. That 75 was gold, so that's your 20 points push to the upside. Uh,
Now, let me point one thing out here. It's just like we said, on these days, the data or gamma data shows us that there's not a whole lot between 75 7475 and 7500, so you can see we're in negative gamma, so you can get those quicker movements. So if you hold 75 and start to move higher, you can move through that fairly quickly. There's not a whole lot in between those two nodes, so it's just the benefit of having these nodes. Maybe you've got a level at 80 and or 87 and 93, all these levels, but we can see live that the positioning for today is that there's not a whole lot in between there. So you hold the 75, you move almost directly into 7500. So on the other hand, you need to watch 7500. That is still resistance. That's a very large node above us, and so watch that
yeah,
area for rejection. And if we can clear that, that does open
yeah,
up continuation to the upside.
yeah. Good point regarding the landscape. I think the landscape does a lot for, and also, you told me earlier we were chatting, like during OPEX, these kind of nodes can be scalped, right? A little bit more effectively.
Yeah, they just
Okay.
continue to hold, multiple attempts. Some days something is held two or three times. I'm pretty cautious about buying it again, but being
Yeah.
kind of this range bound pin on OPEX, they tend to just hold, 10 times. I've seen that so many different times on OPEX specifically, which also means that 7,500 could reject, another five times.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can see how Marvel is holding that 320, 321 area really nicely back above the 9 on 10. So shorter term trend line to the upside. It's trying to flip it back. So if you can get a 10-minute candle close above that 323 or so, potentially we could see a push towards the highs and then maybe break. So I'd see starting to look a little bit better. I'm watching it very carefully, closely. I want to see what it does here, but I think INC could be something to watch. Just want to watch the premiums here for a bit. Premium is pumping here on the 134, 135. See if you can break through and hold.
INTC another nice +1 back test and move back higher as
Yeah.
well. I really like this
Yeah, these
Marvell 321 area you
yeah.
keep pointing out, definitely big. For those who aren't positioned yet, this could be a higher risk swing entry for some Julys, but again, it's a little bit harder and trickier to be entering up here.
Yeah, I would say it's a roll up kind of play
Exactly.
or something
Yep.
with more time. Yeah. Yeah, I'd see if you get break above here, it could move. Those premiums moved about 20% uh since I started watching them. Very strong move here, very quick move. So
That's one of those names again, like we've talked and we preach about being
yeah.
like intimate with particular names. I've ridden that Intel wave and I just know that it hates acting above ATR first. It will always come back down and reject and like back
Okay.
test the level, which is like this 127, 128 area, and then it'll move back higher or the following day or whatnot. It is interesting how that particular name quite literally likes to behave like this. And it's just something that I don't know. It comes with time, but I think it is something special when you do study a price action of a particular name. So that's why exercise caution if you're not used to trading a particular name. But you can have additional edge by keeping your watch list and list smaller and your focus list small as well.
Yeah, just give me a second here. Marvell pushing higher nicely here. Back to 325. Really strong move there, guys. Just in play name today. Actually, I'd say premiums are holding up pretty okay here, guys. 134s. It's just I don't like to trade. Well, you could trade this pullback here for potential breakthrough PM high, but less excited about stuff today. A little bit choppy for my taste.
Yeah, we do have QQQ at +1 as well. Just something else that I feel like is kind of keeping the lid on some of these moves a little bit. Huge gap up, SMH up, massive, right? A lot of big moves already. A lot of names extended over +1 ATR. And for those that don't know that term, it's an average true range. So over the past 14 days, stocks and indices and ETFs move a particular amount of points in either direction, up or down. And the market likes, and algos like to respect averages. So right now, on average, as just an example, QQQ has been moving, what is it, around 15 points each day, up or down, and we're at that upper bound right now of 738. We do find that ES, SPX, and QQQ and a lot of individual names do tend to respect this heavily, which can, just be a point to exercise caution or be a profit-taking area where then I like to roll up above. So I just wanted to drop that note in there.
I think this pullback here in 9C could be a buy. Just watching SPX here. Premiums are holding up really strongly. Nvidia back to the 50-day moving average too, around that 210. Strong bounce off that dip. These INC premiums are holding up really strongly for now. Let's see if we can see some sort of fall through. Needs above 133. Nvidia looking strong here. Keep an eye on Nvidia. Show some nice strength. Market is doing very low here. Just trying to point out some relative strength. Nvidia is interesting to me. It's back towards the highs here. This 210 has been very tricky for it, but starting to act slightly different on this bounce, at least intraday. 210s are 50 cents. Tesla's starting to make a move here above 390, two rather. Nvidia 210 calls could be a scalp here. As I said, we're around 50 cents. They're about 55 cents here. Need to break that 210, but if those go into money, those could be easily 152.
I also really like Nvidia, like with a slightly more padding too. I think momentum, which we
Sure.
saw over 211, like this 211.40 area, which is like the last week's high, has been a really sticky area for Nvidia. So I feel like if we do get a nice close over that, we could start seeing some more buyers step back in and maybe push that name back towards the highs.
Yeah,
It's a
I
very
have a
tricky range.
212.
210, and it's all the same, right?
Yeah.
I'm just adding another safer layer on top, I guess, would be over that.
Yeah, market is not doing much here.
Oh yeah, and then we got what 21 days, 212. So yeah, let's just add a few more, a few more spots for Nvidia.
It is OPEX, so sometimes you have these like random moves intraday that look more than maybe they are what they are. Marvel is, yeah, looking really nice, really, really nice. Perfect hold of that 320 Marvel.
Garbage and Tesla move, but it held where it needed to hold again. Space Monkey
Yeah.
name's out of play for a while, but not bad to see.
Yep, Marvel, so nice. New high day. Just trend move up, little intraday pattern, kind of little wedge or intraday flag, and then breaks to new high of day. That's some amazing strength there. SPX slowing down again, still just in the middle of its morning range. So again, always important, but on OPEX especially, just need to wait for the pivots. So 70, 74, 75, and 7,500. You don't want to do a whole lot in the middle of those two. So if you want to be short, I would watch for rejection of 7,500. But you don't want to mess around too much in the middle of those pivots. That's where you get chopped to death. So we'll see if we can get a 7,500 test, see if there's a rejection there. All right, SPX trying to move higher out of this little consolidation back into 7,500. That position has grown even in the last 10 minutes, so still probably has another rejection in it. If you want to take shorts against 7,500, risking above 7,505, something like that, definitely an option. Or futures shorting against 7,500 probably has a rejection above there. We could really start to move higher, so you wouldn't want to be short if we cleared 7,505 or so.
All right, I am back. Sorry, I had to step out. I had somebody at the door. Yeah, Nvidia's making a nice move here, and S&P is back towards the 7,500. Nice little bounce off of 75. ARM is trading in a very tight range here intraday. Nvidia 210 here, test guys. Those 210s must be, they were 50 cents. Trading around 63 cents here, so not terrible. Potential squeeze candidate above 210 here. Can break. 210 in the money if you caught them at 50 cents. They're trading on 70. Really nice move here. Let's see if we can move to 212 above 210. Big level, this 210 here. ARM's trying to break this intraday trend line. SpaceX back below IPO day high. S&P needs to break 7,500. Above oh 05, we can see a nice push towards 2025 above. SpaceX bankers preparing for bond sale of at least $20 billion. SpaceX headline coming in here. Nvidia moving above the 50-day moving average here. Nvidia looks really, really good. Just a tricky range. Could see it acting like this. I'd say it's not done. It keeps rejecting. At some point, I think probably towards the end of the day, it's gonna just trap a bunch here, but it might push that 133 and go. Watch INC here, 133, 135s could be a good trade to watch. Even 133 in the money, 0 DTEs, or take longer dated, but those 135s trading around 60 cents here. It'd be an insane run if they actually push those, but you'd want to see that 133 hold at least a 10-minute candle above. Nvidia above 210 here, looking pretty good as well. SPX just tested 7,500. 7,500 is tricky, guys. Very, very tricky.
Yeah, 7,500 is now the largest positioning on the tape. It's grown all day. It was 75. Now it is 7,500. Very important for the rest of the day.
Nvidia from 50 cents to almost a buck here for those 210s. Nice little move on those. You do not want it to fail here. You want to see it push towards 212. 211.77, 212 area is the 20-day moving average. So it'd be your target if we start going here, but a lot of work to be done. I'd see here is looking pretty good. Let's see if we could actually make a move here soon. That'd be something to watch. Nvidia's really going here, guys. I see sellers sitting around 133, 2025. They keep sitting here selling into it. Nvidia starting to accelerate here, guys. 210 calls. They're trying to clear the seller here on 133, 20, 25. This needs a nice push towards high day here. 134s are moving slightly, just very slow, I'd see. Very slow. Look at that Nvidia move, guys. Y'all see it? That's the acceleration we were talking about. $34. I see calls here getting hit. Premium is very volatile. I'm talking 0 DTEs. Very, very volatile premium here. All right, they just popped those premiums by about 20%, 25%. ARM, big candle lower, guys, might be a headline. Flickering yellow, guys. Watch ARM downside 435s. That's a news headline. I don't see it, but that candle. Let's see, 435s. $6. Oh shit, they just pushed it lower here. Watch this move. I think I was very early. See if they push this. I think I saw it before we started seeing that momentum. So keep an eye on that, guys. Watch those 430s. See a headline yet, guys. If you see it, let me know. It's a fantastic move to the upside, guys. Watch ARM, guys. I think that one is, there's something going on there. Dump here in ARM. I don't see a headline, guys.
Possibly just OPEX.
Nvidia above 210. Really nice move there, John.
Yep.
I'd see also breaking higher. ARM is near those PM lows, so let's see if it sweeps that.
Yeah, yesterday's ATR was right here as well. About 430, breaking below.
Yeah. ARM 430s in the money if you caught those guys. We saw that very quickly. Here's your support around 427.25. ARM breaking lower. Here's your bounce zone, though. You don't want to chase this, but if it breaks through here, it could go red around 418. Wow, look at Nvidia, guys. Those 410s at 50 cents. I don't know what they're at right now. Let me take a look. They're at 130. So we said that potentially we could see those at 140, 150. Those are up almost 100%. Almost 100%, guys. Nvidia. Sorry for screaming, but I saw that candle in ARM. I had to, just a reactionary move. All right, 20-day moving average is a magnet 211.81. S&P back above 7,500, 75 bounce, 7,500 recover. 7,500 is huge, guys, but watch that 7,505. Magnet 7,505. Let's see. If we clear this area, guys, potentially 25 next, 25.30. That's your 27. Bounce ARM. I see a turn in IWM QQQ above +1 ATR. Big resistance is trying to break back above. Marvel now back lower here. I would just give it, kind of hands off there. Really good trade today. You don't want to chase it. Anybody caught that Nvidia move, guys? 50 cents. Really nice move. So the idea with Nvidia was obviously semiconductor strength, but it started showing some strength on this dip. They bought it up very quickly, and so the recovery of the 50-day here usually gets you this kind of move, as well as luckily maybe, but S&P is back above 7,500 here.
To 1140, yes, last week's high on Nvidia, also just another spot to watch. Just rejecting around 211 again so far.
Yeah, that 212 has been a pivot for quite a while. I do have a yellow line there, resistance line, but the 20 days
Yeah,
right
two,
there.
and 212, yeah, four.
Mhm.
I know you're
Mhm.
using 20, 21 days right around there as well. So
Yeah. Guys, S&P, if you like S&P above 75 of 7,505 would be something to watch. You can get a potential 20 points move to the upside. Keep in mind, OPEX, super choppy. And we've been trading in a range here pretty much all day. I think in order to feel, I guess, in order for this to be technically at least a breakout, I would need a higher day breakout, backtest, hold, and go. see back to the highs, guys. If you took those 134s, the 135s, 133 broke. Really nice check back. And so the reason for that was uh, obviously it's starting to act better after uh, dipping below, recovering the PM low around that 130, 130 held on that big dip. So they actually were able to test the PM high multiple times, and that 9 on 10 back test right here was your long. You started seeing Nvidia pushing higher, started seeing SPX pushing higher towards 7,500. You got this nice little supporting kind of price action across the board to push this higher. Now, if you're short, you're not loving what's going on here with INC. So, this likely is a bit of a trend move towards the high days. And then potentially a, you know, multi-day move here. We'll see. Anything, guys, that you're seeing that you want me to take a look at? Let me know. Started going off here live, screaming. Sorry, there was a lot going on there, but let's take a look again for QCon.
Yeah, I can post things on X also. Comments on X will
You want to let me know what they are?
yeah, I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, so QCOM. Big picture, QCOM hasn't done much. Holding where it needs to. It has a double bottom near that 190, and it's making its way higher. Still a lot of work to be done here, but I think above 230 could be something to watch. I do like that semis are pushing into new highs here, SMH. So, it's one to watch. In terms of a kind of an intraday play, I don't see anything yet. So Dell is tricky because it's been relatively strong for a few days, and today it looks like a little bit of a fail of that 440 area. But watch and see how it does here. If it continues holding this 420 area, I would say this is a long. I think SPX looks good. If you could break above 7,500, we could get to 05. Above 05, that's where you get that bigger move. So we're starting to see a little bit of a, uh, you know, uh, you're starting to see magnets develop above. But with OPEX, I want to be careful being too optimistic about getting out of this shock. So just kind of looking at the market generated data here and reporting. Yeah, ARM is very weak. I still don't see a headline. It attempted to recover that 430, failed, and so now it's back here. If it breaks 427, I think this one can move to 417, as I said earlier. I'm not really sure why this happened. This could be OPEX mechanics. It could be, I think one of the members floated a downgrade a bit ago. I think a bit before this big candle. So yeah, not sure what's up, but nonetheless, we called it out right around that 435. And it moved sub 430. So very, very nice scalp if you were able to. Rocket Lab. Yeah, I mean, these rocket names have been just tricky with SpaceX IPO. I do not see a trade in Rocket Lab or any other of these for now in terms of a tactical trade, okay? Like an intraday scalp trade, not talking swings or any of that. Okay, so in terms of SpaceX, just kind of pivoting just a bit here. you know how I trade IPOs, and I've been very, very patient with this. Uh, when you start sneaking below the IPO day high around this 176, you have to be a little more careful. I did draw some fib levels here the other day from lows to highs. You're seeing us breaking this 178, and we potentially could move towards 165 and then the lows. And so usually what I like to do here is just watch the low and the high and trade around them. So now we're back below the high. I want to see how this acts here, and if it does turn, you might see a higher low here, and potentially you could trade it back up to the highs, the all-time highs. So SpaceX, just give it time. Iron looks good. It's one of those where I keep going back to it. It's just has done very little. So you just have to be patient with it. Yeah, thanks, Remy. If it's me, you're he's saying that too. But yeah, it looks good. I think high day could come. High day could come. Yeah, so iron, like big picture, it's trading in a rectangle here in a range. Uh, I would watch how this does over the next few weeks. If you could creep back above 65, that could be something to watch. For now, not a whole lot going on. Hey, Einsi going. Just looking at INC 134 calls. I called them out around 89, 90 cents. They're trading around 1.5. 1.5. So that's about, what's that, 50% almost? Good job, Swan. He caught that ARM trade. Beautiful trading. Yeah, nice little scalp. Any other names that you guys want us to take a look at? Let me know. So look at Monkey Bot here today. Nothing of significance in this session, which is good because there's not a whole lot to do. Okay. 7,500 rejected again. Let's take a look at Oracle, Jennifer. For you. Oh, dude, you're giving me the hard ones. Yeah, I don't see anything here. I'm sorry. The positive kind of scenario here would be a daily higher low and then recovery of the 50-day around 190. Yeah, BE I like. BE was on my watch list today. If you guys recall, that 300 I was watching. I think this one is in the process of moving towards 400, 500. BE. I've been in BE since way down here somewhere. So I'm in it still. Shares are up nicely. I think it's doing really well. So yeah, we were watching 300. So what do you do now? I said 300 into 310, and then all-time high should come. So now that it has seen this momentum, what you want to watch is that continuation play out of this range that we've been in. And you might see that squeeze. So yeah. So I got a question from Victor. He's asking me, or he's telling me that I said something about VIX earlier, where if it's trading below 2021, it does not matter. Uh, and they're asking what I mean. So what I mean with that is, as long as VIX below 2021, for me, okay, I'm not, a VIX expert or anything like that. But whenever you're below 2021, volatility is suppressed in a way where I'm really interested in watching VIX to inform me on how to trade. But if VIX is above 21, 23, 25, it starts affecting us, right? Tangibly, meaning you start seeing premiums increasing, you start seeing wider ranges. So you would have to adjust the way that you look at the intraday trading of the S&P 500 because VIX is volatility for the S&P 500, nothing else. And so when it's trading sub 2021, the trading S&P will be cheaper. The ranges will be smaller. The way the premiums will act differently as well. And so that's why I'm saying what I said. So, but if it starts creeping back above 23, 25, you'd have to be more willing to pay up a little more. You'd be willing to trade a 100-point range, 150-point range in one session. And you can see that, right? 16.74 here. And S&P is trading in a very tight range since the open. The RTH range has been between 70 and high day 510. So that is about 41 points. Okay, it's 41 points. So yeah, hopefully that answered your question. Yeah, so in terms of the DXY or the dollar, DXY, there it is. Yeah, I mean, all right, as I said, I'm not a dollar expert, I'm not a macro trader at all. Generally, when the dollar goes up, uh, equities don't like that. Okay, what you do want to see is dollar being suppressed uh, because of the ramifications of an expensive dollar when it comes to trade and so on. So yeah, you're very kind of uh, you're doing a good job of pointing out the dollar here as it's breaking out of this range that we've been in for quite a while. So it's one of those, I would say, macro, you know, uh, what are we going to call it? Macro kind of factors that is worth noting. Just like we note yields, when they push higher above 3.5, 3.55. So with the dollar moving higher here, it's, I guess, concerning. Right? Just something to point out. So very, very, very good. So out of this range here, which was 100 psych level, this could start moving towards 102, 101, so on, which I think could inversely correlate to the S&P 500. Could, doesn't always correlate 1-to-1. Sometimes it correlates more heavily than others. Sometimes it's more in focus than other times, and it matters more. It's all the perception, but also obviously fundamentally, it's not good seeing the dollar moving like this. Of course, Mr. Stock. Yes, CN does not look good. I think this is a downside candidate, continuation candidate. I think uh, it's a very defined downtrend. You have acceleration to the downside. We've attempted to recover and failed. So every pop is being sold into here. More recently today, with this engulfing, I would watch the bottom of this range here, uh, which has been a good support in the past, resistance. Uh, watch 420, watch 420, 420, and then that could spark an ugly move towards 363 unless 400 holds. You're very welcome. Right. Whoever came up with the idea of us live streaming on a day like today should be taken to the back and spanked.
You're not wrong. That person really is in a lot of trouble.
His name starts with a J and ends with an M. Wonder who it is.
You could have left it as starts with a J and at least left it open that maybe it was John.
Well, nobody's name is Jim, right? Jim. So, I was trying to be smart there, but good job, undercover cop here. Like,
I will say, despite the mess in the middle, 74.75 and
yeah.
7,500
Mm.
been tradable against those pivots. I probably would not try to short 7,500 again. Almost a 10-point rejection there. At this point, if it gets back up there, I would lean towards a late day squeeze. I would probably not try to short that again.
Mm. Oh, yeah, so just look at structurally here. Yeah, we're now, we've now flipped the 9 on 10, which is the yellow line, and we are trading. And once we held it, that's your flipped long, which gave you 7,500. Uh, now we know 7,500 is resistance, but this is now support here, around this 93.90 area. Which, if we look, I think it is right for now. It's a smaller bounce area to watch for. Um, so here's your higher low, 9 on 10 back test inside of a very choppy range on a very choppy, very kind of range bound day OPEX. So yeah, this could be that long, that very early long, I guess, for a potential push higher. Actually, 7,500 is kind of freeing up above, right?
Yeah. That position is closing out quite a bit since that rejection. So even more so, it's rejected several times. Now it's closing, and we're moving back higher. So if it clears 75.05, I would not be short.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys, I think we've been going for about an hour and a half here. So I think what we're going to do now is just turn off the public live stream, and we'll continue live inside of Discord. Thank you everybody for listening in. Nice little turn on the 9 on 10 backtest here for that 7,500 push. And yeah, that's all we got. Take care. Anybody caught that long, guys? Very, very nice.